Most favorite part of my day is waking up every morning to an email from Fortis saying how much money we made the day before. We have the head honcho of Fortis on with us, Jonathan. Welcome to the Chiropractors Edge. We're grateful to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
What we see in the Chiropractors Edge, we see a lot of docs who have either just started and they grabbed whatever they thought, people started using Square or Clover or whatever their bank had, or they bought a practice and they kind of got the golden handcuffs and they had to use what they inherited. So they don't know that there's something far better and far easier. Would you mind just taking a second to explain? And I'll go over 10,000 reasons why we love Fortis. Number one, my team loves it. When your team loves a product or service, it says mountains about it. Would you mind kind of just sharing from a 30,000 foot view what Fortis is and how you guys are an integral part to optimizing a chiropractic office?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump a little bit way back, but I'll make this story quick. In 1969, my dad enlisted in the Marine Corps. My dad was a little guy, 5'6". He's doing hand-to-hand combat. He gets hit in the side of the head, flips upside down, lands on his head. He passes out cold.
Jeez.
So Marine Corps sends him to the infirmary. They kind of wake him back up, send him back out there. Long story short, my dad's knees start to swell. They think it's from handball, running in combat boots. And he starts having issues with his knees. So they open up his knee. And this was back in the day when they would just numb you from the waist down. So they numb my dad from the waist down, open up his knee. My dad's awake, hears the surgeon say there's nothing wrong with this guy's knee. So they suture my dad back up, send him back out. My dad goes from 165 pounds down to 86 pounds, full quadriplegic, in a wheelchair, no use of his hands or legs. Marine Corps medically discharges him. They start sending him all over the U.S. to try and figure out what's wrong with him. And every hospital that he goes to, they offer him drug, surgery, drug, surgery, drug, surgery. So my dad said he remembers lying in the hospital bed, looking up at the ceiling, said, if I don't leave, these guys are going to kill me. So my dad leaves, goes home. He thinks this is his life forever.
Wow.
My grandmother, his mother at the time, had Addison's disease. So her adrenal glands didn't regulate properly. But she noticed when she would get a chiropractic adjustment, she could take half the medication and it worked just as well. So she's like, hey, this chiropractor really helps me. Why don't you come see this guy? And my dad's like, no, Marine Corps. And mind you, my dad's in a wheelchair saying no, right? And he's no, what can these quacks do for me, right? And eventually he relents because he's a year in a wheelchair and he's like, fine, I'll go see this chiropractor. So my dad goes and sees this chiropractor, and the chiropractor my dad sees is Dr. Ian Grasham. So Ian looks at my dad, or Dr. Ian looks at my dad, x-rays him, his atlas subluxated, fully cutting off his spinal cord, but there's no structural damage. Dr. Ian looks at my dad and says, I can fix you. And so my dad starts getting adjusted every single day. So every day my dad's getting adjusted. After about 6 weeks, and this is after the Marine Corps told him, you're never going to walk again. Every doctor told him you're never going to walk again. And they had no idea what was wrong with him. So after 6 weeks, my dad was able to ride a bicycle. After about 6 months, he was walking with a cane. And after about a year, my dad was better. My dad looked at Dr. Ian, said, how can I ever repay you? Ian says, go become a chiropractor. So my dad goes to St. Louis, becomes a chiropractor. He starts getting mentored by Dr. Ian, and Dr. Ian had two great friends, Dr. Jimmy Gregg and Dr. John Hoffman. All three of them were founders of Life University. So my dad starts following them around as mentors. He goes to DE. This is back in like 70s, right? When DE was the only principal place for chiropractors. And Dr. Jimmy Gregg introduces him to someone who was working in her dad's office, and that woman later becomes my mother. So I say all this to say I've got a family full of chiropractors on both sides of my family. My dad's a chiropractor, my dad's brother, my mom's sister, her husband is a chiropractor. My grandfather on my mom's side is a chiropractor. My grandfather's brother was one of the founders of Life University. My brother became a chiropractor, who aunts, uncles, cousins, so family full of chiropractors. And I tell that story because, one, obviously, I grew up in chiropractic. I grew up going to my dad's practice every day. I really understand. I understand the chiropractic life, right? I grew up in it. After school, my mom would pick me up. My mom ran my dad's office. I'd go to the office. I'd help people move from the, the warm-up room to the adjusting area. I sat through 70 doctor's reports. I really understand a chiropractic office. And so that's great. That's how I know chiropractic. But who is Fortis and what do we do? So we do merchant services or credit card processing, and we're a decent sized company. I think this year we'll do about 20 billion in credit card payments. We'll do close to $1 billion. We should pass $1 billion in chiropractic payments this year, which is really exciting. Yeah. And so how it came about was in 2012, my brother approached us. He was seeing about 800, 1,000 patients a week. He was running about 130,000 a month in credit cards. And on the 1st and 15th, his staff was banging their head against the wall. They were manually key entering transactions into a terminal. They had their little black book where they had everyone's credit card number written down where it's, not supposed to be doing that. They had the dates that you're running the payments. And my brother's like, my staff hates me. What can we do? And so we tried plugging all these software systems in. We tried this gateway and that gateway. And what we realized was everything was a square peg into a round hole. And so we said, you know what, let's build something. And so that's what we did. We built a payment gateway specifically around what chiropractors do. So we obviously can process all the payments, but now we own the technology that does it too. And that's where the system came about and all the cool features that your staff loves came about.
That is amazing. So I knew only a part of that story. I didn't know about your dad, and I mean that is so powerful. And so I mean you guys are on a mission. So it's not just you were making great money, but you really wanted to be able to help chiropractors efficiently and effectively. I love that. That's awesome. One of the things that I love about you guys is obviously you're mission driven. You share the mission of chiropractic. You have the same belief system that we do, and when you combine those two powerful things together, you create an unstoppable business. And my team and we love you guys. Literally the moment we had you guys come in, it was so seamless. Mm-hmm. Where we had another group, there's another software, EHR software. They said, oh, well, it'll probably take about 72 hours to maybe like a week. And that's if we're pushing it. And it was just to put there, and it wasn't an EHR. I said, wow, that's a lot of work. That's insane. I'm like, why don't you guys just use Fortis? And so we love that. It literally is super, super flawless. And again, I love how easy it is to integrate. So I know you guys integrate with a lot of systems. So what are some of the EHRs? And you guys are getting into more and more. But what are some of the main EHRs you guys are involved with?
Yeah, so we work with, Genesis and Platinum and ChiroTouch and Chiro HD and a whole bunch of different systems. So we work with the majority of the chiropractic systems, and one of the goals is really making things more efficient, right? So we get in there, and what really makes us different is we understand chiropractic, right? So when we originally built the system, we plugged it into high volume clinics, and we basically just said, tell us what we can do better. Tell us what we don't know. Tell us what's going on in your clinic. Tell us the things that you don't want to do that we can automate through technology. Yes. And that's what we did. And that's what got a lot of the EHRs interested in us and how we started integrating those systems, because payments is all we do, right? We're big in the hotel space. We're big in the winery space. Like all the wineries essentially run through us. We're big in like the pawn and outdoor space. And we're big in all these different spaces, and we're really specialized in those verticals. And, I run the chiropractic division. I run obviously a part of our technology team that builds out these custom features for exactly what's happening in a clinic.
So I love that you guys understand chiropractic, because we see this whenever there's a company that's coming out, an EHR technology phone, if they don't have an understanding, but they said, wow, this is something I can monetize. Whenever they come with that first, like, oh, I can monetize this, that's easy. It ruins the life. It puts everything in a chiropractor's life to a standstill, and it makes the team go insane. And that's obviously not the case, because you guys understand the ins and outs. And I've even asked for some custom things. I said, hey, when we have our recurring billing, I would like to see it this way and this way, and then we'll do it the generic way. You're like, yeah, that's no problem. We can do that. And it's easy. So the team literally can basically write the formula they want, and it just happens.
Yeah.
You have the custom stuff, which is easy, and then that other. So that's so awesome. When people are just starting their practice or they're going through, I always tell them you have to have checkpoints to be sure that what you're doing is still working.
Yes.
When you're 12 years old, you're going to have a size shoe that's a certain size, but you're more likely than not going to keep on growing. You have to be able to look at the future and say, does this sustain me where I am? We see a lot of doctors say, oh yeah, my EHR will work for maybe like another year. I'm like, awesome. So who's your next one? Oh, I haven't discovered that yet. Or, I use Square because it just seemed easy. I'm like, okay, I get that, but do you know what you're getting charged by Square? We actually, I was at a meeting with, I've started another business with some other really great doctors, and one of the guys there is a credit card processing person. I won't obviously mention their company, but on paper seems like a great company. And so he was pitching. He's like, so who do you use? I'm like, oh, we use Fortis, and here's why, and da-da-da. And he's like, do me a favor. He's like, I want to understand where my fees are and what I do. And they don't, number one, they don't integrate with anybody. They're not in chiropractic. They're wanting to get into chiropractic. So I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. But he kept saying, oh yeah, we can monetize this thing, man. We can monetize this thing. It wasn't, I have a history. I want to make changes in people's lives. And so we literally said, hey, do me a favor. Give me the last like 3 or 4 months of what you guys have, what you've put through, like what have you processed, and then what your fees were. He's like, guarantee I could beat it. And I said, well, number one, I said, I'm not going to switch. Because of how much we rely and love it, it makes our life easier, and that's something that's not, and it's fantastic. They're on point. They're on mission. I said, I'd be happy to give you data though. How does that? I said, could I help you that way? I want to help you. Could I give you data? He's like, you bet. The first thing he said when he came back is, he goes, there's no way we could beat their prices. He's like, there's no possible way we could beat their prices. He's like, so how new are they? I'm like, it's Fortis. Like, you have internet, right? Like, look up Fortis. And that was the end of the conversation. It says volumes about who you guys are. Customer service. I'm sure we've called you guys for stuff.
Yeah.
But when was it? With our chiropractic office, I don't know when it was. We just started a new business with you guys, and but anyway, we really appreciate what you do and why you do it. What are some of the biggest questions that, as chiropractors come to you guys, what are some of the biggest questions, obstacles, or concerns they come to you guys with that you solve?
So, kind of going back to what you're talking about with the students or someone just coming out, one of the things we tell, when I speak at some of the chiropractic colleges and things like that, I'm always telling students, my dad taught me this lesson when I was young. Like, we always knew my brother was going to be the chiropractor. I was like, he was the science brain and I'm like the math and business brain. So my dad was already always training him to be the chiro, but he was teaching us good lessons. And my dad, it stuck with me to this day. He said, never paint your own office. And he was teaching us a lesson of, I can go screening, and my dad used to take us screening. We'd go to Costco and screen and get new patients, and he'd have someone painting his office. And he's like, I can get one new patient that pays for the painter, plus I'm making money, but I'll get 3, 5, 7 new patients at a screening. So he was, it taught me this idea of using your time efficiently, right? And we have people that come to us and talk about, well, I can swipe my cards. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a reason why Amazon stores your card on file and they never ask you for it again, right? Do you think they haven't done the psychological research around what it takes every time you have to pull your card out and enter it in or make a payment? And so we try and teach people from the beginning, get your patients used to these cool features like storing their card on file. They're already, when we first started this was new. Like, Amazon was new to everyone in 2012, 2013. They weren't used to storing their card. Now it's like, you don't store my card. Why do I have to I forgot my wallet, right? And so we want to teach people these things around automation, right? And even though this, when you're starting your practice, if you're doing something that takes you a minute with 10 patients, that's fine. But when you have a minute and you're seeing 250 patients a week, now all of a sudden it becomes a problem, right? Because it limits your scalability. So you always want to implement these things that allow you to scale and grow. And even we do that as a company, right? I look at efficiencies, and anything I can lift off my team through technology is something we want to do. And that's really what we do, right? So whether it be storing cards on file, nicknaming the cards, storing multiple cards, the way we can run recurrings, the way you can edit recurrings. That was one of the biggest features when we first came out, was we realized every system, you have to delete a recurring to set up a new one just to change this month's payment date or skip a payment or defer a payment. And so we built all these one-click features in the system to do that. Or when a recurring declines, we send an email to the patient with a link where they can pay and update their card going forward. So we want to build in all these efficiencies because we want your front desk staff focused on the patients, not collecting payments.
Yes.
I want you worried about your adjustment that you're giving, not is my staff collecting the payment at the front, right? And that's why the nightly email comes out, because we want you as the doctor to be able to see what you're collecting every day. I saw too often chiropractors give away care when they didn't mean to, right? And chiropractors are the most giving, loving people. And I have like 20% of that. I'm a finance guy. Like, I want to collect money, right? Give away care when you want to give away care. But when you can collect, and don't miss that, right? And too many chiropractors miss because I don't want my front desk staff deals with that, right? Or like they just don't want to do the work to dig in. And so me, as someone who loves chiropractic and loves chiropractors, I want you guys to collect your money. And so I do everything I can through the technology to make sure that that happens.
You know, you brought up a point that is really funny because it's so true. Wealthy-minded people, rich-minded people will spend a lot of money to save time, right? Especially when they're like, no, I'm not going to mess with this thing. Like, unless it fulfills you, like unless going out and changing your own alternator fulfills you, doing your own electric work or something, you're like, no, I tinker and this brings me joy. Okay, do it. That's no problem. But doing it because you think you're saving money? Absolutely not. Poor-minded people spend a lot of time to save very little money. The other day, I saw these shirts online. I said, hey, I've been looking for these shirts. It popped up an ad. I looked at it. I'd already known the reviews. I'm like, sweet, let's buy 3. Put it in, and it's an Amazon link, but they didn't have my card. I literally looked at it. I was like, you really want me to put my card in? Next. And I skipped it. Mm-hmm. Which number one, people say, well, maybe you don't want the shirts that much. Yeah, but it's convenient. How much more convenient is it? So many people come in that and we love that it's already on auto debit. So, and the nicest thing too, we'll see a mother. She comes in, she's doing great, and then we bring in her daughter. The team typically says, so we're going to charge up to the card on file. Does that work? Oh yeah, please do that. Oh my gosh, it's so much easier. Thank you.
Exactly.
And we had to train that so I had to train a few of my team members where they'd say, it's because like accepting money was difficult for them. So we had to go over some mental stuff but that was something that we trained, but it's so easy. And every once in a while, I was like, oh, hey, can we switch a card? Easy. Boom. Put it in. It really is flawless. This is something that is taught really well by the high-end network or net worth people. If you can increase the velocity of transaction, the faster you can make that and the seamless you can make that, more people will sign up. Literally, I'm a perfect example. We have no problem buying really nice, and they were high-end shirts. They were like 130 a piece or something like that, or they were nice shirts. I'm like, no way, seriously? Like, I had to put in my credit card. It'll take me 30 seconds. No, done. I'm going to the next thing, right? But people are like that the same way. And there's also a mental block that we'll see. People will always get buyer's remorse, even if it's something they absolutely want. I really want this thing. So the more we can decrease that, the better. I used to accept a partial payment over the phone for that first visit. Like, hey, just to reserve your spot, we do this. That actually made it far better. So as we were preparing for our Fortis phone call, I'm like, what are the things we love about Fortis? It's like, oh my gosh, why don't we do this anymore? So that's going to be a policy we do, because the people that have paid over the phone, number one, they got skin in the game. Number one, they show up more. We rarely have cancellations, but if we do, it's now far less. And when it comes down to collecting full fees, it's just put it on my card because it's already there.
And one of the cool things, you might not even know about this is we now have, you can send like quick invoices to patients. So you can email or text an invoice or a pay link right to someone where they can click and pay. You can add payments on your website. Fortis does it through your ClickFunnels. We have a mobile app. We're really like end to end. We have the capabilities to do anything you need, right? And that's really what we want. We don't want you to have to go somewhere to take these payments, right? And so we really make it easy to do, whether it be in the office or these things like, hey, someone owes you money, someone's coming in for a visit, or even you're at a screening and someone's like, "Ooh, I don't have my wallet on me." No problem. What's your phone number? We'll text you a link. Make the payment before you come in. Otherwise, it's going to be full price when you come in. It's weird how people will pay that before they come in when they know it's going to be full price if they walk in.
That's a feature I wasn't aware of. So we use you guys when we do our screenings, but I wasn't aware of that feature.
Yeah.
I mean, again, reason 3,426 why we love Fortis. Again, it's decreasing the resistance in a transaction. The more you can make it as smooth and flawless as possible, the easier it gets. We see that at screening events. We still do screening events. We do them very, 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 very well. We'll bring 60 to 80 people on some of our screening events, and it's all paid. 100% they have to pay. We do have people every once in a while. It's like, awesome. I don't have my card on me. It's like, shoot, well, what do we do? Well, now that's a problem solved.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So you can text or email it right to the patient. They click the link, they pay, money deposits, and you'll see it on your nightly report the next morning.
I love that. That's fantastic. So, I mean, you guys are growing, going upward and onward, and we're in a recession right now. This is obviously something that, number one, I mean, if you're only looking for a price point, no one can beat Fortis. But if you're looking at the clout and the mission behind Fortis, you can't beat that either. What are some words of counsel you would give some of these docs as they're going into, as we start to really get hit by the recession and as numbers come in? Because I know that during COVID, you guys helped us have two of the best years of our life, and we're going to have the best years of our life moving into this. Any counsel you would give on your end from your perspective?
It's interesting. We obviously have a lot of data. We're big, like in the hotel space. So we process for some big hotels, and we obviously see it in the Chiro space. And when you look at COVID, we actually only saw a 1 month dip for Chiros. And then they shot out of it and actually got higher because people started looking. It was interesting too. The principled Chiros who are doing corrective care shot out. And the guys that were doing more pain management had some struggles, right? And so we saw this variation, one, amongst the two sets of Chiros, but two, in general, the Chiro portfolio grew massively during COVID. And so we watched Chiros volumes go up and up and up. And so I would say, take this time to actually grow. It's funny, while people look to kind of like recess during a recession, it's actually the best time to grow.
Heck yeah.
Growth happens. Like, new companies emerge during every recession. And this is when technology either goes away and it wipes away all the old junk that was there that shouldn't have been there, and it allows for new growth. So don't look at it as a recession. Look at it as a growth period, right? How can you grow your clinic during this time? And we always see it. Our top Chiros like you are always growing when people think it's a recession or a downward spiral coming, because it's not. People are still spending. Consumer spending is still high. It's at its highest. The Fed chairman was on today, and he said, consumer spending, we're seeing no stop in consumer spending. So don't listen to the white noise. Don't listen to what the news, because the news wants to tell you all the negative. It's how they get you to watch. Right? Listen to what the people are actually saying. Watch when Visa talks about consumer spending being at an all-time high, right? So people are still spending. So don't listen to that noise. Go grow your clinic. This is when you're going to find new efficiencies, new things, and go out and grow that practice. Maybe it's time to start that second practice. Maybe it's time to go buy that guy that wants to retire. And now you can start to build that legacy and empire that you want. This is when it occurs. This is the best buying opportunity that you're ever going to see.
Hands down. Yeah, we will never see a better time to grow massively. More millionaires are made during a recession than any other time. More millionaires become billionaires than in any other time. One of our favorite books, Think and Grow Rich, teaches these principles. But You're right. It's you guys solve for so many problems that people have, but the time problem is so wonderful. It's flawless. Like, literally, it just goes through. And I'll tell you, we have a lot of our automatic payments. So during COVID, there was a point where we would have 30, 40 grand coming in a month of just automated, just simple.
Yep.
No stress, no anything, and then on top of everything else on top of that, that was so wonderful to see that coming in day to day. And we know for a fact, we're super excited about the recession, not because inherently there can be suffering. We're not looking towards that portion. There's so much good that we can do, not only because we never lived in a time where people are more sick. We've also never lived in a better time where we're going to see a lot of doctors that want to shrink as opposed to grow. And so we're going to be here to help you guys. But that's why in the Chiropractors Edge, we only team up and we only partner with principled vendors, we have principled sponsors, people who have incredible services, who share our mission, and who, with one hand, don't seek to destroy chiropractic, while the other hand, they're patting us on our back. Literally, they're here, and there is a chiropractic cartel. There are people who, there's a lot of insurance companies out there that are totally against chiropractic, yet they support chiropractors. It's mind-boggling to me why we would give money to them. So again, and to see you guys on principle and to be able to share some of your light on your family was awesome for me to be able to hear. So again, it's one of the reasons why we love you and we appreciate you. So we're going to be one of those offices that expand and grow. We just hired on 2 more doctors. We're going to start another practice. We have some great stuff going on. So you guys, we're going to have a link below on how you can get a hold of Fortis. What do you guys offer to those that are saying, so we have a lot of people who say, gosh, Doc, I can't afford to be out a day. I can't afford to, it would be so hard to learn. Could you just talk just about that seamless integration?
Yeah, so the Fortis integration is seamless really with the EHR. So we make it really easy. It's probably integrated with the system you're using in your office today. And then, at Fortis, really, when we built this system, the goal was making your life easier, right? So whether it be that storing the card on file, running the recurring, editing the recurring, the e-invoices, we're getting ready to release, or we just released, our inventory management system, where now you can manage all of your products and services right from our point of sale system that we built. So you can barcode scan and check out products, and all the cards on file that you have in Fortis for your patient already is in the inventory management system. So you can come use that, come try it out for 30 days, come test it, come use it. You're going to love it. But it's all of these features and systems that we built within Fortis are built to make the office more efficient, right? And we're building them specifically around chiropractic. It's not like we built this system and, we're trying to sell it over here or sell it over there. No. I built these tech systems specifically around a chiropractic office. And then with our inventory management system, we went to some of our top offices and we said, hey, tell us what we can do better, right? And that's what we're doing. We're building it. We're not building it to try and go sell in a coffee shop or this, that, and the other. We know what happens in a chiropractic office. You're selling your services. Then you start selling products, and maybe you've got some home care equipment or pillows or supplements that you're selling out of your clinic. And we want to make all these things seamless and efficient for your clinic, because what I want to do is help you guys collect more, right? I want to help you collect more in your clinic and make your life easier, because at the end of the day, we know you're helping the patients. You're getting people well, right? While the rest of the world is trying to get people sick and diseased, you guys are trying to get people healthy. And if they've got the card on file and they can grab their bottle of D3 and walk out the door and say, hey, can you charge this to my card on file? Walk out the door, you email the receipt. That's what we want to do, right? Because we know we're helping patients get healthier, and we want to help you guys do that and partner with you to do that.
You solve for time. You decrease the stress and the resistance and the friction from money from their hand to our hand. And you can't beat your customer service, you can't beat your mission, and you just simply can't beat your price. This is why we use Fortis. Fortis, you guys, it should be in every single chiropractic office on earth. They give back to the profession. They serve the profession. They love the profession. They could hike their price. You could do so much more, but you're on point with our values, which is why we personally use you, and we will only endorse you. So thank you so much for being on with us today. We're grateful for you guys. I can't wait to see where our futures continually grow together. You guys just check the link below to be able to do a demo, to look at it. But literally, it's flawless. If you want to save money and stop, and the hidden fee thing, good night. I remember when I had first, so years ago, when I had just started and I didn't know exactly what I wanted right out of the gate, and I was using what my predecessor had used, and then I was like, well, hey, this other thing seems pretty easy. I remember you said, hey, send me some information. Let's look at what your fees are. I'm like, oh, it's here's what my thing is, right? Okay, let's give me your data and we'll look at it. And I was shocked how many other fees were coming through that I didn't know were fees. There's none of that garbage with you guys. It's transparency. And
yeah, we're in the profession. You're going to see us at a seminar. You're going to see us at, the next event. And at the end of the day, My dad was in practice for 37 years. My grandfather for like 35 years. Like, we want you guys for the life of your practice while you're in practice, right? And so we know if we're transparent with you, you're going to send us your referrals. And at the end of the day, we have no contracts, no cancellation fee. We think we're the best. Try us out. You don't like us? We'll recommend you to the next place that we think would be best for you. It's not about us. We're a good sized company. We're going to do fine. For us, it's about growing chiropractic. And if we're a good fit for you, then come join us. We'll help you grow. If we're not a good fit for you, we'll recommend you to the next place. There's no contract, no cancellation fee. We don't need your business. We don't need to trick you with fees. We don't need to, have these big cancellation fees. That's not what we're about. For us, it's about the mission. It's about chiropractic growing. It's about more people getting under chiropractic care, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for chiropractic, right? And so for me, this is a part of our big give back, is really giving back to the community and helping chiropractic grow.
I couldn't agree more. For so many docs in our group right now, but obviously, again, we're doing this because of your on point with the mission. We have so many docs, again, that you guys, you have to have a table. You have to be able to know how to code. You have to be the doctor, but you have to be able to accept money, and you have to make it as flawless as possible. This is a no-brainer. So again, click the link below and check out these guys. They're absolutely incredible. That's why we endorse them. And for anyone that knows me, you know that I do not have shiny penny syndrome. I do not jump from one side to other. We've had multiple people say, "Hey, we want your business." And it's not a money thing. We're developing, growing our empire right now, and I am all about relationships. How many times we talk about this in the group, you guys? We're all about relationships, return on relationships. And to be able to not obviously save a few bucks, we make a lot of bucks, but I know for a fact that there will be endeavors that we'll be able to do together. And having this relationship is critical for us. So check out Fortis, you guys. Jonathan, thank you so much for being on with us today. Grateful for you taking the time out. I can't wait to see you at the next event.
Thanks for having us.